So here is an example of how to use custom events. So right now I have this color box app. It's just a very simple app. Color box app is a child of application. If you're not familiar with that, go back and check out the video about how to create an application. And then I just have a couple of member variables here. One is just going to be my typer, and this is just going to allow me to type in some text. And then I have two just simple rectangle boxes, and I have a variable to keep track of box color. All right, so I'm going to run this app just so you can kind of see what it looks like so far. Right now, really, it's just a place where I can type, and there's just two boxes, really basic. But what I want to demonstrate is I'm going to write some code so that if you type in a color, then it will change the box to the color that you type. And of course, I'm just going to give a few options of colors. So I'm going to go to my color box app. In my initialization, that's kind of where I set up the two boxes here. I gave the two boxes some sizes. I set up my text input. Again, if you're not familiar with any of this, just go look at some of the previous videos. They can show you exactly what all this code is. But a lot of this stuff is also from SFML, so you can also review the SFML documentation. So the initialization is where I set up my variables, and as you saw when I ran the program, they're already set up. There's two boxes next to each other, and there's a place to type on the top. So now what I want to do is just kind of demonstrate how the custom events work. So we have the built-in events that we can use, such as on click, on hover, but there's another one that I think is worth mentioning, and there's the on update. And this is basically update is going to be every time the window refreshes, it's going to call this update function. And so if you want something to happen every time the window refreshes, then you want to use the on update. So here I'm going to just put an on update event on my text input. And basically what I want to say is on update, I want to look at the string that has been typed inside of this text input, and if it is one of the colors that I have that I'm going to put inside of the map, if it's one of those colors, then I'm going to change my box color. If you recall, I have a variable here called box color. I'm just going to change this color to whatever the user typed. So to do this, I am going to create a member variable of a map. So I'm going to create an std map, and that map is going to be a string as the key and a SFML color as the value. And then I'm just going to call this color map. And then I'm just going to go ahead and give it some default values. So I'm going to say if the user types in yellow, then we have SF color yellow. All right, these are built-in colors inside of SFML. And I'm just going to make a couple more. So let's do white. So that will be SF color white. We can do red. That would be SF color red. And then let's do let's do blue. That should be enough for this demonstration. So here I just created a color map. Of course, maybe you want to put that color map as a member variable. That's really your choice. But for now, I'm just going to make it as a local variable to this lambda function. Of course, whenever we're doing lambda functions, we want to make sure that we capture this so that we can use any of our member variables from our application class. So I'm going to now just create a string called color, and I'm going to set it equal to my text input dot get string. And basically what this is going to do is this is just going to always look and see what was typed inside of the text input. Next thing I want to do is say if the color, if our color map dot count of this color, this is basically a way to check to see, hey, does this map have a index, or does it have a key that matches whatever was typed inside of the input? If it does, then we are going to then just change our box color. So I'm going to change our box color, and I'm going to set it equal to whatever that map will return for that color. So I'm going to say color map dot at, and then I'm going to pass in color. All right, so if whatever they type is a key to this map, so that means if they type in yellow, white, red, or blue, then we're going to then change our box color to the color that is mapped to that particular key. Great. So that's just how you do a regular update. That's something that's built in. This is something that's just going to automatically get called every time every frame rate. So now let's talk about custom. So I'm going to create a custom event. This is something that is not built into the framework. This is something that the user itself will actually create. And so I'm going to make my box one subscribe to a user event. So whenever we want to make our own events, we use subscribe, and then we can name that event whatever we want. I'm going to call this color change. So I'm basically saying whenever the color change event has fired, then execute this lambda function. All right, and so I'm going to make this lambda function quite simple. So I'm going to just basically say whenever the color changes, whenever the color change has been fired, then tell box one to set its fill color to our box color member variable that we declared inside of our header. All right, pretty simple. Whenever the color change, make box one change to that color. So I'm just going to run what I have right now. If I run what I have right now, I'm able to go and type in a color. I'm going to type in yellow, and we see that nothing actually happens. And that's because I never actually fired the color change event. I'm subscribed to it, but there's nothing that actually makes the color change event happen. So I am going to now go back to my unupdate function, and I'm basically going to say, hey, when I change this box color to something else, then publish that color change event. So here I'm just going to say text input dot publish color change. And it's important that you make sure that this color change matches the event that you subscribe to. So we want to make sure that these are the same. So now after the color changes, this color change event will occur, and then that will make this lambda function actually apply. So let me just show you a demonstration. So here now when I type in yellow, you see that box actually turned yellow. Right? If I type in blue, then we see it turns blue. And I believe the other color I had was red. So we see that it actually works. Cool. So since I have that color change subscription, I'm going to actually make box 2 subscribe to that exact same color change event. And I'm going to have it do the exact same thing. So here I'm just going to copy and paste, and I'm going to change box 1 to box 2. All right, so now box 2 has also subscribed to the color change, and it's also saying to go ahead and change its color to whatever that box color is. So if I run this code again, then we'll see that if I type in one of those colors, let's say red, they both change to red. All right, if I type in yellow, they both change to yellow. And that's because they're both subscribing to this color change, and they're both saying to just go ahead and change the color to whatever box color is. But what if I actually didn't want both of those boxes to change. So let's say box 2 still wants to change color. It still wants to subscribe to the color change, but maybe when I publish this color, I don't want everything to change its color. Maybe I just want something specific to change. So in this public function, we can actually pass in another lambda function, and this is kind of like a filter. We can say, all right, cool, the color has changed, but what do I actually want to pick up this event? And so in this case, I'm going to put in another lambda function, and that is going to take in a UI component as its parameter. All right, it's going to take a UI component as its parameter. We're going to make sure that that's passed by reference. I'm just going to name it component. And now I can use this component to determine what needs to happen in order for what needs to be true about this component in order for it to actually pick up that event that fired. And I'm having some issues here. Let me just try to fix this. I guess the issue right here is because this function needs to actually be a Boolean function. So I need to return something true. So in this code can be as sophisticated as you want, but it needs to return a Boolean. So you need to evaluate this component, and you're going to say only the components where this Boolean expression is true, only those components are going to get the color change event. So in this case, I'm going to say if any of the components has a flag that is enabled. All right, so if it's flagged as enabled, then only those components are going to be the ones that catch this color change event. So I'm going to run the code again, and now I'm going to type in the color yellow, and you'll see nothing actually has changed. And that's because we haven't flagged any of these boxes to be enabled. Right, and again, just the enabled is just an example. Whatever this Boolean expression, whatever you want this Boolean expression to be, that's what it's going to test. So as you saw, nothing actually changed, and that's because neither of these components are actually flagged as enabled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up to my initialization area, and I'm just going to go ahead and set box 1. I'll set box 2. Box 2, I'm going to go ahead and set that flag as enabled. So I'm going to say enable flag, and then that's going to be ML flag enabled. All right, so now box 2 is enabled, right? And here, when we said publish, we said only the components that are flagged as enabled. So that means that box 2 should actually make changes, and box 1 shouldn't. And so I'm going to run this code, and I'm going to type in some colors. So I'm going to type in yellow, and as you can see, since box 2 was the only one that was set as enabled, only box 2 caught that custom event. All right, I'll go ahead and change it to red, and we'll see that all of them actually work. Great, and so that's how our custom events work. Thank you for watching.